and you know what, everything's on fire and you're like, this is fine. And I love that one.
Awesome. All right, well, let's get started. I don't know if anybody else is coming in. They'll come in a bit later, but welcome everyone to our meeting with the mentors, number 2. The last one was phenomenal. I think there was a number of you that said you were writing notes furiously. I can't speak. So it is. And so this one tonight is going to be awesome as well, because we have Ashley Hill and Melissa Denny in the house. And these two ladies are rock stars, honestly. I look up to them immensely. I think they're pretty awesome. And you have no idea how privileged you are to have them in this community to share their wisdom with you all. So yeah, this is going to be a great night. And I think last time I ended up, asking some of the questions, but I'm really going to leave it open the floor up tonight for you guys to ask questions. So get them prepared in your minds. All right. I know you will I'm sure have lots of them that you can pick their brains with. But we will first start off with everyone introducing themselves and sharing like last time, because it's really good for Melissa and Ashley to kind of hear what you guys all do. And it's just a good way to get to know each other as well. So let's go around, say what you do, and again, a different fun fact. All right, so let's start with Michelle.
Hi, I'm Michelle. I live in the Prescott area. I'm a hairstylist with 20 plus years experience. Fun fact that you don't, I know I told some people that I scuba dived with my dad, but it's been a few years now since we did, but I bet you a lot of people didn't know that. So my dad was a dive master, so he kind of pushed me in that direction. It's a whole new world down there. Yeah.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Awesome. All right. Let's move on to Jennifer.
Can you guys hear me, or do I have to take the headset out again?
We can hear you.
Perfect. Okay, so I am Jennifer. I am in the Brockville area. I was a fairly successful DJ under the guise of DJ Fedora until COVID happened, and I had to pivot the business, and now I'm trying to work on an events planning business that focuses on socially distant appropriate events. And fun fact, I'm an avid Brockville Braves fan.
Awesome. All right, Caroline.
Hi, I'm Caroline Zipfel. My company is Boundary Labels. I do regulatory label reviews, which is reviewing labels coming into Canada to make sure they meet all the regulations and the charts are right and the ingredients are right and all that kind of fun stuff. And fun tidbit, I can't wait for spring to get my bike out.
I can't wait for spring in general. All right, thanks, Caroline. Rebecca.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rebecca Braden. I am the founder of Braden Digital, so I'm a social media specialist. I help small businesses in the Leeds and Grenville area to help them access digital services in our new increasingly digital world. And fun fact about me, the only thing that I can think of right now is that my shoulder is screaming in pain, and if I make a weird face, it is because of that. So I'm going to stay on mute today.
All right. What did you do?
I don't know. I moused it too hard, I think. It's like totally inflamed, and I'm trying to get I have to try and get an appointment at Podium next week.
I was going to say, I don't know anyone in our area who can help you.
I tried to get in this week and they're like, we're full. And I was like, oh.
Oh, don't you worry. You got an insider. You Facebook messaged me after this.
Okay.
I will book your appointment right now.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Let's go with Deborah.
Hi, I'm Deb Farley, and I was supposed to be launching a business April 3rd, but I recently decided to like sell a kidney and hire web design, and they say they need another week other than that. So fingers crossed, we'll be launching April 10th. And
Yeah.
I'm excited, and I'm so happy to see you all, but I am just cooked.
Mhm. I'm glad to hear, you know, at least you're giving yourself a bit more time. Yeah.
I'm glad you're happy.
I know it's not what you wanted, but I think it might be good. So time will tell, but we're glad you came, Deborah. Thanks for being here, and despite how you're feeling. So Tracy, can't hear you. I think you're on mute. You're still on? Oh,
I'm unmuting. And I have here's a fun fact. I have an unstable internet connection tonight.
Mm.
My name is Tracy Ryan. I'm moving sort of a hobby of growing flowers that I arrange into bouquets and arrangements into a business. I'm combining it with other elements that provide self-care and comfort to women. So it'll be a year-round business, hopefully. Fun fact. I'm still best friends with 7 girls I met in grade 3, and we vacation every year together. So
Wow,
yeah,
that's amazing.
yeah,
That's
it's
very
great. It's great. It's great to have a group of women around you all the time. They keep you centered.
Yeah, that's really special.
Mhm.
So cool. All right, Amy.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amy Purvis. I'm in the Prescott area, and I'm looking at starting kind of like a dog run, more like a park, but private dog runs that are half-acre lots that you can bring your pups to go and exercise without the anxiety and fear of dealing with public if you yourself have issues or if your dog has social issues. And then you can book your slot and it's yours for that time. So that's what I'm working on. And then a fun fact, I've camped all across Canada, and then now I just need to go to the territories and Yukon.
That's incredible. Oh my goodness, I have not.
What's the name of your business?
Sorry?
What's the name of your business?
Right now I have it as Ruffin It Bark Park.
I have a very high anxiety dog, so that just like good
Yeah.
to know.
Yeah, so it'll be coming. Won't be April 10th, but it's coming.
That's awesome. All right, Alana.
Hi, sorry guys, I'm losing the connection like every few seconds. But I'm Elena. I'm an artist. I also do illustration and graphic design. Interesting fact about myself. When my friends and I
Oh, I think we lost her.
You guys lost me right there, right?
No.
Yeah. I keep getting booted out. Sorry about that.
You're back.
Interesting facts about myself. When my friends and I do karaoke, we play the instruments too. So, but since I don't really play an instrument, I now play the cowbell. When we're singing, when I'm not singing. And that's how we've taken up doing karaoke. Yeah.
Can I please be invited next time, please?
What instrument do you play?
It's in Toronto, but yeah, that'd be great.
I'll drive. That sounds so fun.
What instrument will you play, Ashley?
It's
The spoons.
I can
nice.
teach you the banjo,
Oh, yeah.
Ashley.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I play a mean fake banjo.
That works too. That works too. One
All
of my
right.
friends brought the keyboard that you kind of blow into as well.
Accordion.
Oh, I think anything's welcome.
I have a vuvuzela.
That is awesome. All right, so let's get going here. Thank you everyone for again sharing about your business. And it's really awesome just to see the diversity amongst the group here, of all the and businesses, I think that we've noticed that basically are speaking to the trends that are going on right now. So it's really good. So anyways, let's start by first just getting, so Ashley Hill and Melissa Denny, obviously, like Ashley Hill, she runs Podium Sports here in Brockville, and Ashley Denny runs Peak Performance studio there, not studio, but training center, right? She's got an amazing training spot there, gym for membership. And both of them are just have such passion to help people with their health, because both of them are in the health industry, right? And it's just amazing to see where they've come from and how much they've grown through the years as entrepreneurs, that there's so much value there that you can learn from them. So we're going to get both of them to share a bit about how they got started, and maybe kind of a little bit about their kind of the beginnings of, the struggles in the first year or so. So let's start with Melissa.
So sorry, the struggle is really is. Okay, so I opened my business to create a job for myself. I was with Good Life actually and we closed here in Brockville. So my clients and I we sat and had a big powwow and said, like, what are we going to do? Like, are we going to go to Planet Fitness? Are we going to do the Y? Are we going to do a Snap? To kind of just do whatever. And I wasn't ready to quit because I've been a trainer at that point for 16 years at that point. So there wasn't anywhere in Brockville that was conducive to the feel that we wanted to go with. So I had hemmed and hawed about doing like the basement gym thing. But I'm very much the person, as much as I love my kids, I like to send them off and go to work. I'm not a stay-at-home, work-at-home mom. So I needed a space, and just pure fluke, I found my building in Sheridan Muse. So I opened a gym. It was just kind of like, okay, do we buy a house this year or do I open a business? And I opened the business in December and I was able to buy the house still in August. So it kind of just, it was a giant whirlwind. As far as how far I've come, so December 2018 is when I opened. There's a waiting list now to get into the studio because I'm full. I actually don't have any membership spaces available because of what I offer. So if anybody knows a certified trainer that needs work, I'm looking. So it's incredible. Like, it's one of those, like, I should have done this forever ago. But the biggest challenge is kind of getting out of my own head, because my dreams are so big. To really funnel them in was the trickiest part. So having drive and focus and having an actual written down plan is worth its money in gold.
Awesome. That's so amazing to hear that you are completely full. That's so awesome. In the midst of you think about, you know what I mean? In the last year, with everything, all the shutdowns and everything, it just goes.
Well, and that's it. I'm able to focus a little bit more because people don't want the big crowds, and that's exactly what I offer. It's the private exclusive space. So, yeah, like that after the first shutdown, it was really tough to kind of, there's an application. Like, I would have never in a million years thought there would be an application process to have a membership, because I was in corporate gyms for a long time. And then when I was with the CFL, yeah, Rebecca, it's tough. But you got to do it. You just got to jump into it. So yeah, it's wild. It's absolutely wild. So it's, in the face of adversity and everything else. And now with the lockdowns, I've created the online portion of it. So I got a whole bunch. But
so cool.
Yep.
So cool. All right, Ashley.
Hi, ladies. Super pumped to be here with you today. And you too, Melissa. It's good to see you. We used to see each other much more often. I haven't seen you in a while. So I was very excited to see your beautiful face today. And I'm really, really happy to hear that you're doing very well. I love that. And that you're able to add some more services. So that's awesome. Ladies, for those who don't know me, I'm Ashley. I'm a certified athletic therapist. I've owned Podium Sports Therapy for 5 years, or just over 5 years now. So in December, it'll be 6. I bought it when I was 25 and had no damn idea what I was doing. just always kind of knew in the back of my head, I wanted to be my own boss. I just didn't necessarily know what that looked like. So I bought a business that I had to completely rebuild, unfortunately. So the beginning was tough. So when I started out, I came out as a certified athletic therapist with 0 business training. But I realized where I'm from in Kempville that there was some holes missing and people were traveling pretty far to get access to certain things, like go to Ottawa to get a knee brace, for example. So I started really small by being a contractor, working for Kempville Physio, working for Carleton University, and started my own business with selling like braces locally. Fast forward 5 years later, bought Podium Sports. Tragedy happened. Long story short, I had no clients, no ringing phones, no nothing. So I had this 3,200 square foot space with 9 empty treatment rooms and 2 staff members that could actually work. But I'm an athletic therapist that people have no idea what that was. And my other staff member was a office manager. So I had to think quick and think on my feet. And now we are a team of 15. A bunch of different diverse therapists, whereas I can kind of back away finally. So I did enjoy the grind of that for a while. And since we built that wonderful, reliable team, I'm able to go and purchase another business with my sister. And since that is seasonal and going really well, I was able to continue to reinvest into businesses and other things. Like Melissa said, our ideas, like we dream so big. And that is just what I see is so normal from the entrepreneur to just always have those ideas and always be thinking big and always wanting to implement them all right now. And that is something I always struggled with because I would get frustrated, like, why I want this now, or try to put that on my team members, or realize that once I actually gave it some thought, maybe it wasn't what I wanted or wasn't what I wanted to implement, or it eventually unfolded a couple years later. So all I can say on that is just be patient with yourself. And the fact that you do think that big, you should be pretty pumped about, because not a lot of people do.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Thank you so much. So there's just a little bit, and yeah, for sure, just a little bit of their story. So we're going to get more out of them over the next little bit, but I wanted to open up the floor for you guys to ask questions. Does anyone have a question? Shoot away. Don't be shy. We're all pretty comfortable with each other.
I have a question for Rebecca. And anyone else who does maybe just online. So Rebecca, you mentioned how you service the Leeds and Grenville area. Why just Leeds and Grenville?
I'm starting at that area for a few reasons. One is I see a need. I was working on the Digital Main Street program a few weeks back, for 4 months. And I realized that there's a lot of people who, when you start to talk social media, their response is, what's a hashtag? And you're like, okay, we've got to start from the beginning. And so I really want to help my community. And the last thing I want to see is this area become a place that doesn't have small business anymore, because we can compete. Small business can and should compete with places like Amazon and Walmart. And we shouldn't be paying for Bezos's next yacht. We should be paying for someone's kids' education instead. So that's why I target there, but I'm not limited to that. It's just, that's where I'm starting. I want to help my background first.
I love that answer. I did not expect that. I love that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. How did you deal with that frustration of it not going as fast as you wanted?
Meditation. Literally just self-care. Because I think that, and Melissa, maybe, I don't know if you feel the same, maybe you don't, maybe you do, but I just feel like it's another just normal thing with life, whether you're a business owner or not. We always want to have that car now, or have the house now, or have the business and the profit margins that we want now. But we need to experience the certain failures and the slowdowns to make sure that we can build those blocks.
You grow so much, trying to climb those rocks for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And I
bang
think
on.
you need that. Like, have you ever heard or something with a lot of the mentors I've had recently, they talk about just like overnight success. So you get those people who are like, let's say the one-hit wonders or just quick overnight success, but they never sustain it because they
Yeah.
didn't have that growth period that they needed to develop into that better version of themselves to be able to sustain the different stressors. Because no matter what, no matter the success level or the stressors that you take on, there's always going to be stress and failures and things that happen to you on different levels. Those aren't never going away. You just learn how to deal with them differently. So that's why the importance of the prolonged growth can help you sustain this when you have reached the certain points that you want to be at.
Caroline, can I add, are you a mom?
Yep.
So potty training, right? You want,
Yep.
like, yeah. So how old are yours?
She's 17 and
Oh,
potty
okay.
training was
Perfect. So you want them potty trained. Like it needs to happen. And then you look back and you think, oh my God, now I'm dealing with boys, or I'm dealing with love. And they're like, ugh, potty training is a breeze because you went over those things as a mom. It's the same thing with business.
that makes sense.
Just take
That
those little
totally
bits that
makes
you've
sense.
already dealt with. You've mastered that. Now you can potty train your grandbabies. Like you're a pro now. So you're going to get to that point too. Just kind of dial it down instead of it being such a giant monster.
Okay.
You've already done it.
All right.
So I want to like maybe start shaking this up a little bit, right? So I want you ladies. So now I'm not talking to Ashley and Melissa right now. I'm talking to the rest of the crew. You know the issues, the problems, the frustrations, the stuff you're dealing with right now, okay? And sometimes we're afraid to share the stuff because we're like, oh, we're the only one, but you're not. So I want you. This is the time to speak this, to ask the stuff. Hey, what are you dealing with? You know, like how'd you get through this? Because this is what I'm struggling with right now. You need to. There's something that happens when we kind of get that out and bring it forward. So this is the time where we get to come around each other and just share what's going on. This is what I'm struggling with. Not just a vent, but you know what I mean, with a purpose to, hey, how did you Ashley and you Melissa get through this? Just like, Caroline just asked. So we want to hear from you guys. What's going on? All right, Rebecca.
Okay, so I do have an issue that is kind of coming up, and I foresee it happening a lot. And I think all of us are going to deal with this, so it's a good one to start with. I have a handful of clients, and I have either two situations. One is they expect me to be their number one, like that they are my number one priority, and or I feel I should be the number one priority and I'm not. So how do we find that balance between like, oh, I need this by today, but no, I'm not going to get back to you for 2 weeks. Like, how do we mentally get it so that we're good timing on both?
You're on mute.
You're muted.
I'll just keep pretending to talk. Having a full client base. Yeah. People want answers now when they're like, I'm at Kelsey's, it's a surprise dinner. What do I eat? Or, hey, do you know what workout we're doing tomorrow? Or do you remember last time I deadlifted? What was this? They want answers. And I've got babies and I've got other clients and I've got all of these other things. Train your people, train your universe to have the faith in you that you're, how do I describe this? You need to train your people to be self-sufficient enough that they still need you, but enough that you're gonna be able to get more clients because they're gonna be able to be like, this is it. And then set the expectation that you're not always gonna be able to get back to them snap right away. As soon as you set that precedent, that's pretty key. Like I always tell everybody, like, I'm your number one. I'm it. I'm either holding your hand or I'm saying put the fork down. It's one or the other, kind of thing. And but they know that they need to be so a certain level of self-sufficiency. And then if I'm with a client, they know that I can't answer back right away, or they know that between this time and this time I'm at hockey, so I can't. So just set those boundaries, set those standards, and it gives yourself some breathing room.
Yeah, that's going to be the hardest one for me, I think, is I've had days where I feel a lot of like I'm putting it on myself. It's not coming from the clients, but I feel like I'm like, they all gave me the impression that they need this by tomorrow. So I will be working like 12, 14-hour days at the computer. And then this happens because I'm working 12, 14 hours a day at the computer, not letting myself relax because I'm just like, I have to get this done. And so that's what the big thing for me right now is like telling myself that it is okay to stop at 6 o'clock and have some dinner and watch some TV. Like the
You're
world
gonna
is
feel
not gonna
better.
end.
Oh my gosh.
You're
Yeah.
gonna feel a lot better when you get there. I can relate to this so much, especially running two businesses in the middle of like the busy season. At the same time, I put so much pressure on myself. Like I have to be working 7 days a week for 10 hours of that day, or I'm not going to be successful. When actually I took a step back and realized the work's still going to be there tomorrow, and the only person that was putting that pressure on me was me. And once I actually took that step back, because yeah, you're going to get messages from clients and we feel they want that answer now. Whereas when I don't answer them till tomorrow, they're still just as happy because they understand they have a life too, right? And are these clients paying you to work 24 hours a day for them?
I wish.
Right? If that's what they want, they can pay you for it. There is that package you can offer. But they're going to understand you're a human. But I think what happens is it comes from within ourselves. We put that pressure on ourselves. And once you realize you're like, hey, I'm going to stop at 6 o'clock. And you actually, I used to put my phone down 7 p.m. I used to never touch it. And I felt just better overall.
Rebecca.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know if this is going to totally apply to your situation, but just from dealing with like talking to a bunch of web designers and talking to people who I'm signing over a lot of money to, the thing that makes me most comfortable with someone who is like, I'm on a deadline and I'm asking you as a professional to help me do something. And I recognize that I'm not expecting you to work 24 hours a day. But if the communication isn't there, then that's where you're going to start to feel like left in the dust. So if you openly say to your customer, this is going to take me 10 hours and I have to book you in for say 3 hours a day. So we're looking at like, 3 to 4 days. You are being completely transparent with the fact that they're not going to get it the next day. And just from my point of view, I am 100% going to go with someone who is transparent like that over someone who says, oh no, I'll totally have it for you in 24 hours. And then you don't hear from them for 36 and you're panicking because they're not answering you. So if it takes you longer, like don't consider that the breaking point for your clients. It's going to be the communication and not even the price. It's literally just communication.
I love that. Thank you so much, because that is definitely a thing that I can't I'm not doing web design, but I can measure my stuff out by like, you get an hour a day, you get 2 hours a day. No, I've gone over your time for today. We'll have to do this tomorrow. But that's fantastic. Thank you.
Well, and you're doing like what you do is so niche, and people who are hiring you are like, they're complete like noobs, right? So I am your client and I'm telling you that when I look at something, yeah, it hurt to sign over like $6,500 for a website, but it was the person like who was, yes, this person got back to me quickly with a quote, but it was it's communication down to it, and I will pay for your time. If you're telling me it's going to take you 4 days, well, it's going to take you 4 days because I can't do it. So I'm going to, like,
Mhm.
I think it's important too, like not to set up unrealistic expectations with your clients. Like if you start on that level of, I'm going to get back to you immediately, my dinner hour is yours, then you build that expectation up and then you have to start living that and you can't maintain it. So starting with your peace of mind and then filling in those blanks, but also like some of it is figuring out who the right people are that you want to work for. If somebody has, if you have a client who has that expectation that you need to be with me, holding your hand 24/7, answering my call whenever it rings, they're probably not the right client. If you can, and sometimes when you're just starting, you just are so, you want to get off and running, so you'll take people who aren't meant for you, like they're not the right fit, or and then you're giving far too much of yourself and your time for what you're being paid, and they have no sense. What I've noticed, like, because in marketing and communication, is no one has any sense of the amount of time that goes into social media or any of those campaigns. So they just think, well, a post appears immediately, so that must be done immediately. And they don't know the hours behind that, to get the right content and photos and hashtags, quotes and links. And so, yeah, that would be
Mhm.
find the right
Bang
people.
on, Tracy. I had to learn a lesson myself the hard way, and you nailed it. It really like ting. I took on clients from a trainer who had kind of skipped out of town, and that meant 6 a.m. boot camps, which meant bringing my kids to my studio at 5:30 in the morning. And when the lockdown happened, I was like, no, you know what? I'm done. I'm not, or sorry, it was the summer prior. I'm like, I can't do this anymore because, and then you get to sit back and realize I am such a better trainer for the rest of my day because it didn't start off with my kids screaming at me, not wanting to get up yet. Not, oh, it's still dark out. It's, yeah, you've got to you need to pick and choose. Your business isn't for everybody. Your business isn't for everybody. Your style may not be for anybody. My gym isn't for everybody. We all have our own thing. And the joy of being an entrepreneur, the whole back to creating a job thing, you're your boss. You get to set the culture in your business, in your company, by picking and choosing, because you're allowed, because you're the CEO, you're the president, you're the whatever title you want to give yourself. So you're allowed to be picky and set your tower up nice and high.
Nice. Thank you, everyone. That was a fantastic answer, and I feel a lot better.
Awesome. All right. Anybody else have a question?
I do. What about the opposite when you're dealing with clients and they're not getting back to you? And then you can't get the job finished, which means you can't invoice. How do you deal with that?
All right.
What's your invoice structure? Like, do they pay up front? Do they pay when it's over?
They pay when it's over.
Is that how your industry works?
Yeah.
Okay. So are you completing the job? Are you holding on to everything before when they pay you, then you give it to them?
No. So this, I've got a few that are sitting. So it's a multi-step process. So I look at like in this case, they sent me all the copy sheets. It got reviewed, translated, went back to them. I got half of the artwork back to review, not the other half, and they didn't answer questions on some of the first ones. So we're at different stages for different products. So my debate is implementing a different billing structure, in that either I bill once a month or every 2 weeks, and whatever you've got going on, it just is going to get billed. I know that people have done that in this industry. I don't know how it's worked out for them.
probably had
And I
to.
don't know how any other industry works. So I don't, you know.
So I'm a landscape designer, currently out of work, hence looking into this passive income job that I'm working on. But anyhow, in our field, similar to yours, it sounds like, where we do work nonstop, but we bill the client depending on if it's hourly or we bill them in phases. So when we put the quote out, it's for this first phase, you're getting charged for the base public engagement section. And then we bill you for the next part, which would be concept design and the initial design work for the public engagement one. And the next one would be for the whole master plan. And then after that, it's this. So we had a client that retirement happened with the municipality. So the person left and work was ongoing, but they on their end didn't link who we were supposed to be talking with. And so on their end, they weren't paying us because they didn't know who was supposed to be paid and all the stuff going on. We ended up billing them for time served to date, and we stopped work from that point on and notified them saying all work has stopped. If you still want to meet this deadline, you need to refirm up with XYZ, get it in writing and move forward. So I think it's similar to you that you need to look at either doing billing in hours or you bill it in phases, or when you get work and you send it off, they're paying for that structure of when to, and then you can have your deadlines of when it's expected for you're going to get the notes back on this writing when this is going to happen, this is going to happen, and they get billed as that goes on. And then you sounds like your job too, you'll have to have a lawyer and back up if it comes to that, but it never usually does. Usually once you tell them, hey, you haven't paid me, you haven't come back to me, they're pretty quick at it. That's for my industry anyway.
That sounds like a good idea to do it in phases, because it really does. It goes in phases, right? The charts are done in one thing and yeah. Okay, that's great.
I'd see that in like with bigger, like for example, even the website design, the 6,500, if you would have had to pay that up front, or they probably wouldn't finish it before being fully paid. Maybe that there's in the online industry. Either, yeah, break up the pay structure and pay for the work that you do, get paid for it before you continue. With our business in the seasonal one as well, you don't want to go there, but you can also threaten collections if you really have to. If that comes to it, just be like, my next step's collections, so it's your call. And usually that will get you the final payment.
Yeah, my clients are not in Canada so far, so that's a tough
like
one.
You want to make sure you do end up getting paid, because who knows, maybe they come back in 6 months, right? Being like, oh, where are we? And you've been out however many hours you just worked. So you need to make sure you are covering yourself to get covered.
Yeah, I know that in the past we've done that. If you didn't pay, like if you were later didn't pay, then you had to pay up front, and that's fine. But usually it's a trust situation and it's all confidential and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, it's not usually up front unless you've screwed up, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's I know even my husband's dealt with stuff like that through the years. So it is you really have to kind of have a clear idea in your mind how you want to deal with that. Because there's sometimes you're lenient with some, right? Because it's an important client and you want to honor, like, there's, you don't want to be so, hard with everyone. Like, that's it, you're done, But usually in the beginning, we're more afraid of losing a client, right? And we can't be afraid of that. So that was some good advice, Amy. And
do you have a contract, Carolyn?
When I have the onboarding on it, my contract's in it. So they fill out the onboarding and sign for it. And that includes the payment terms, but it doesn't have my billing structure per se, because usually I do quotes. So I think I'm gonna have to double check and like review that structure for sure. That's great information though.
Yeah. Alana says you definitely want a deposit. Rebecca says, trust nobody. That's funny. But all right, next question. Who else has a question? Amy.
Please first marking. So my question is for the two of you ladies, when you say like you, Ashley, you started small and kind of built your business income to then get your building footprint. If you built it, you bought it or leased it or whatever. Melissa, did you need one right away? And if you did, my big thing is getting the property in order to implement it, because I can't start doing anything else. I don't like getting my name out there, advertising, getting people signing up until I know that's somewhat close to happening. So I'm just curious, how did you do that as a single person, school, all my life? Like, I know I can't go out and get a mortgage by myself. So I'm just curious, if I don't have a husband or dual income, any ideas? Or how did you do it, I guess?
Family full of bankers. That's how I did it. BDC. Have you ever contacted business development in Canada? I can give you the girl's number. I'd have to get up and get it. Or again, if any of you guys want to add me on Facebook and you can message me that way, I can give you her info.
Okay.
Kelly's?
Pardon?
Kelly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Once you have it, you can get it. Yeah. Awesome. But they're good for funding or banks but the BDC will help fund more. Bank usually wants a bigger deposit.
Mhm.
Depends what it is. But is that your battle, Amy? You're trying to get a chunk of land?
Yes. Either buying or leasing or renting or whatever, but I need the funds to also do it, which I know, like talking with Carol, I'll have the business plan and all that's going to work together to help create a good pitch. I was just curious how you two went about getting your brick and mortar store. But yeah, if you want to share that, you don't have to.
Yeah, Kelly from BDC. I think Melissa was going to grab her number.
I'm going to put her, everyone, there we go. I'm going to put her email address in here. Kelly Gardner's her name. She's fantastic.
Yeah. I'm dealing with her right now too, actually. I just talked to her today.
She's awesome. And then I have answers for that because I needed a brick and mortar and I needed it yesterday. GARDIN at bdc.ca. Done. Okay. Yeah, so like I said, like I could have done the whole basement thing, but I didn't want the pressures of my house being immaculate all the time. I need to go to work. I'm that person that the church and state thing. So I had to use personal savings. I was saving up for a house, and my husband and I were still separated at the time. So it was just me and 2 kids. So it was crazy scary. So I took some of my down payment and I just invested in decent equipment. I've since been able to upgrade everything I have because of whatever. And I lease my building. So because of the write-off purposes, I lease my building. That I just found that was the best avenue for me. But yeah, I found out Kijiji, and I looked on Kijiji and I saw some stuff that I was kind of unsure of. And then I actually went to, I contacted a woman I'd met with the Brockville Women Business, Dana Pierce, and she had some commercial properties that some of her realtors were looking at. And she got me hooked up and I found the Muse, and it was just kind of like, all right, well, we're doing this. I got 4 weeks notice with Good Life. So I had 4 weeks to transition, to change, to get equipment, to get everything. So it just kind of happened that way, because I wasn't able to get a loan, to buy a building, to get a mortgage and all of those things, because I wasn't there yet. So I'm at least. Yep.
Do you have any like private lender relationships?
Like me?
Oh,
Yeah.
No,
Oh.
no.
Do you have any assets in your name?
Minimal. Like, I already know the mortgage thing can't happen for me. I've been a professional student, so that's taken up most of my years. So I don't have a whole lot of capital behind me because I've been paying for school and paying that off. So.
Amy,
But
I had completely forgotten to forward this email. So during one of the Women's International Day conferences, I told you about a woman that had asked a question about land. So instead of getting a loan in the form of money, she was asking if it existed to have land or a building or something. And she got the answer that there actually is something that exists for that. And then, of course, I completely dropped the ball for you. And so when she responded back, she was saying, you know, like, we should talk. So I'm going to set up an introduction for you, because she's in Ontario and she was just in the entrepreneurial thing. So when you get a thing from me, her name is Dorina, and that's what it's about, okay? And I'm sorry to use this platform to say that, but I just knew I was going to slip my brain again. So I apologize.
No,
I love
awesome. Thank you.
The power of networking, right? And connecting with other women, honestly, because that was from the Strike Up conference, right? Yeah, that was amazing. I think there was over like almost 500 women on that. And the chat, you know, on the side of the screen was just going like crazy. And they were really giving like networking tips on that. It was really cool. It was a great platform to network with people. So awesome. Anyone else have a question?
I have a question, and it's pretty basic. I am stuck on a name. I had something that was like, when it was just a hobby and it was fun, it came very easily. And then we did a little search and went, well, can't use that one. That seems to be used. And now I feel like maybe it's because like I do a lot of creative work with words, and it just feels like it's built up to this thing that is, you know, it's like a stumbling block. It's like I'm moving ahead with other things, but it's just this thing that I can't, you know, and it's sort of like, I don't know, like, just call it whatever. It doesn't matter. You know, everything, it's like I'm throwing spaghetti against the wall and nothing's sticking. And it just feels like, well, eventually people will ask you what this is called, and you can't just duck out of screen. So did you guys struggle with that, or is it just, is this some weird form of procrastination? I don't even know.
I think
Does everybody have a name already?
I want to.
Not that I'm comparing myself. It's a safe space.
why don't you tell us, like, in like the Facebook, like online,
Mhm.
like, give us a rundown of like what you want your company to represent, or, you know, like all the touchy feely stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure all of us who are, like, correct me if I'm wrong, ladies, but we are all very opinionated women.
Mhm.
And we will let you know names. And if one of them you like, whatever.
Well, I feel like it's the industry, because whenever you get anything towards flower, there must be a billion flower related, even small places everywhere, and they have used every single form of, you know, even I'm like thinking of things that are combined, which I'm like, of course it can't, you know, they couldn't have possibly thought of this combination of, and it's there, you know, and it's usually around the corner. It's just, it's safe. So yeah.
You said it's built for women, right?
Yeah.
To empower women.
Yeah. Well, like 80% of all flowers are bought by women for women, but most of them market, like big places market towards men, like, buy this for your.
Yeah.
And
you
they just
year
don't.
round, not seasonal, right?
Well, I'm kind of, it feels like a hybrid. I'm going to be doing sort of flowers and stuff through the summer seasons, but there's other things that are sort of flower related, but also really, really comforting, like textiles, or, you know, beautiful vintage teacups with cabbage roses and you know, yeah, I think I probably said textiles, but also I'm thinking of doing some printed material as well, because I can do design work. So, and eventually, you know, because I take so many photos of the garden, that I can create books or instructional things, or it depends really what the people I'm serving would be most interested in. So that part will build out the winter season. That's the way I'm kind of looking at it, like a 2-season sort of. Yeah.
Tracy, I immediately go Celtic, because when you talk about the whole female, like women buying for women and talking about this holistic sort of wellness, like making us feel good, whether it's, you know, like something
You're
pretty.
just you're picking up on my Irish ancestry. That's what.
Well, you know, though, when you're sitting here talking, I was just like, that sounds like the whole ideology behind Gaia,
Yeah.
you know? So like, go Celtic.
That is a word that is used in so many names.
Oh, absolutely. But you know
Yeah.
what though? Go
Yeah.
Irish Pantheon and, you know, like lean into your heritage and the whole imagery behind it. I like that. Do you know what I mean? I don't like something like so just down the road is Primrose and Willow. One of my neighbors has a flower thing. And like, I mean, that's pretty. Primrose and Willow.
Willow is used in almost every single thing, which I was like, I wish I'd known that. But yeah, so yeah. So
You
anyway,
said hybrid. Is hybrid used? You said the word hybrid.
Yeah, I think of electric cars. Then see, this is I could do this all day.
I have an idea, and this is an exercise I saw online. I don't know if any of you follow the Try Guys, they're YouTubers, but one of them created a business and he could not, the tea company that he wanted to make, every name on earth was taken. So he took a lot of words that represented him and what he wanted the business to represent, and then he cut them into syllables and started just essentially making up his own business name, like they did. Google wasn't a name and now it is. So he took the ZA from his first name, DI from his nickname, which is Diddy, and KO from his last name, and it became Zydeco. And that is his tea company. So you don't have to have a word that makes sense. It can be something where, and it's a story. Like you can be like, oh, this comes from this and this comes from this and everything's inspired by this. But at the end of the day, nobody has taken that idea. I can try and find that video and put it in the Facebook group later if you want.
Great. I'll take anything at this point. I've gone through whole processes about, what's my story? And then I come across some kind of evocative image and then it's like, oh, that's also taken. So.
But hash it out with us and even call, Jeanette's really good at kind of working through a formula to get to a name. But I've definitely had some very long messenger conversations with other members from other rounds going through names and back and forth. But that's what we're here for. Sometimes it's just you gotta brainstorm, right, with a number of people.
This is going to be called Tracy Ryan by the time I'm done this whole process.
TR flowers.
Yeah.
So my 9-year-old, or oh my gosh, she's 12. Sorry, my 12-year-old is sitting on the other side of this computer doing her English homework, and she wrote down, tell her to call it Lady Garden. Oh. And then I got a paper right afterwards. She's like, oh my God, that sounds like a vagina, Mom. Don't tell her.
That's that. Yep. I've done that too. I had somebody point out that, they're like, well, maybe don't name it after male genitalia. And I went, I didn't think of that, so it's becoming a thing.
Yeah. It's tough. And so like mine's peak performance. Peak performance isn't everything. It's in supplements. In order to get it, but peak performance to me resonated back to like my university days. Yeah. So finding something that worked, and I knew it had to be, but peak performance training and nutrition is the longest business name in the history of the universe, I think, maybe. But to find it, to trademark it and hone in on it, it's tough. So it's quite the journey. But Jeanette, like Carol mentioned, Jeanette was really good at helping me kind of like, we sat on Google for a long time.
Right.
To see what we were allowed to use. But yeah.
You're not the only one. There's been many before you, Tracy.
Okay, great. I will hang on to Jeanette then, like a life preserver.
Yeah, call us at the center. But so we have a couple minutes left. So I'm just gonna end with this. All right. So for Ashley and Melissa, share your top 1, 2, whatever, a couple things that you have. You could go back and tell your younger self at the beginning days to do these things and focus on this one thing or these two things, what would you say to your younger self when she was just starting the business?
Read the book, Profit First.
Read the book, Profit. So it's Profit First. I have that in my wait list.
Because more
My wish
revenue
list
does
on
not mean
Amazon.
more profit.
Profit First, people.
I think I read it. I feel like I read it. Yeah.
That would be one thing. And then the second thing would just be like the whole self-care and don't make yourself hate it. Like not putting so much pressure on yourself that you're just creating resistance. What do I have written on my whiteboard here? And think of just like working like you're investing your energy into the components of your business instead of the term working hard. I come from a family of farmers where hard work is where you got your money. So if you want money, you have to work hard. Well, that's actually not the best way to go about things. Like as we talked about with Rebecca earlier, just like burning yourself out from working long hours because we put this pressure on ourselves to do that, to get it done and make it work. So just self-care and investing energy into like revenue generating activities, and read the book Profit First. Those are my 2 things for today. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate being here with you all.
Mine would be know your worth, know your limits. Had I realized, like, I'll go back to that 6 a.m. boot camp thing. It was so hard for me to turn away that business because I thought more people, more business, more exposure. It was developing some pretty awful behavioral things in my son specifically. And it was the day that my daughter fell asleep in school, and she's my academic dream. She's just my easy breezy, and she's going like this in the background. So when she fell asleep at school, I was like, you know what, enough is enough. Had I learned that you can't pay me enough to be there at 6 a.m. Like you need to know who you need to tailor to. I have very specific days that I work on my business, not in it. And had I learned that my first like 9 months, I would be that much more successful. Like I would, yeah, you got to know your worth. You've got to be able to schedule your time accordingly. Like Rebecca, you were saying about like having all of these demands, schedule them out. Like when you're able to plan your days and have something tangible that you can work with, you're breezy. I would have saved myself so much stress and so much late hours and missed bedtime stories. And that's huge. So that's probably my biggest one.
Awesome. Well, those are actually like, yeah, very, very good points. And I think we can know them up here and you can hear them. So now it's really getting it down to here to make sure you put into action, and it's dealing with all the other stuff in your head that keeps pushing you away from doing those things, right? So thank you so much, Ashley and Melissa, for being here. You guys, that was amazing. I hope, how many of you got value out of the session tonight? That was awesome. All right.
Thank you very much.
It was, I'm sorry, I have to say this, but I was looking at the 2 of you, because on my screen, the squares are right above each other, Melissa and Ashley, and you 2 look like sisters. Your brunette hair and you know, curly, but you're both beautiful
today. That's it.
Thank you for the compliment.
So, anyways, that was awesome. Thank you again, everyone, for coming on here, and thank you, Ashley and Melissa, for taking time out of your busy schedules to be here with us. Honestly, it's an honor for you guys to give your time that way. I really, really appreciate that. All right, everyone, that's it for tonight. So have a good, some chill out time. Put your feet up, have a glass of wine, and have a good night.
Thanks, ladies. Thank you,
Great.
Carol.
Everybody. Thank you
Bye.
so much. Have a great evening, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Take care. Sorry, Melissa, are you gone? I think she's gone. Bye, Michelle. Have a good night.